Hi, thank you for checking out our video. I'm John. My wife Cindy and I have been raising alpacas for close to 25 years here at Stargazer Ranch located in Loveland, Colorado. It wasn't very long after we started raising alpacas that we became aware of an opportunity to participate in a national effort to develop a database designed to produce genetic profiles of participating alpacas that was based upon production results of their ancestors. Today that program is still growing and it's managed by the Alpaca Owners Association. It's referred to as the EPD database, which stands for the Science of Expected Progeny Difference. At Stargazer, we are in our 5th and 6th generation of planned offspring using EPD data. We found it to be a very effective and simple tool that we use to help us with our selection and decision-making process. I've wanted to do this video to give you an idea of how EPDs help us to identify the best players when it comes to one of our efforts, which is improving fineness and increasing density and fleece weight. If you're new or unfamiliar with EPDs, you're not alone. It sometimes looks like a bunch of numbers. I remember when I first received the results from my first hay test, and I assumed it was going to tell me if it was good or not, if the hay was good or not. And all I saw was a bunch of numbers. It wasn't until I ran across the Dr. Evans Field Manual that I found a reference to help me in interpreting those results and in purchasing good quality hay. EPDs are easier because you don't need any references to understand the results. Each EPD trait value reveals its rank among the national herd. For an example, the average rank for all traits is about the 50th percentile, with percentiles in the 1 to 50 being better than average, and those from 50% or to 90% or more are poorer than average. So if you're looking to purchase an animal, EPDs will help you compare fiber traits among animals that you're considering and where they place in the national herd. If you're breeding and you're looking to improve a trait in an offspring, using EPDs, it's just simply a matter of selecting a breeding matchup to improve the trait or traits that you're looking for. You decide on what to focus on and what you believe is going to be the most beneficial to your breeding program or your business goals. A primary focus for many alpaca breeders is to improve fineness, and whether it's to decrease fiber diameter or the longevity of holding fineness, its persistence, the EPD trait value for fiber diameter is going to address both of those issues. Fiber diameter is highly heritable, meaning it's relatively easy to improve compared to other traits, such as uniformity or density. Where I find EPDs also provide a great deal of value is how easy it is to identify how one trait is going to affect another. For an example, fiber diameter and fleece weight have a contradictory or antagonistic relationship. The same goes for curve or crimp that's going to affect staple length measurements. So what that means is that if you're successful, for an example, in reducing fiber diameter without an appropriate or suitable increase in density, you're going to lose fleece weight. That's one of the areas where EPDs provide a great deal of benefit. I had first encountered the issue many years ago when the Fleece show system added a score that was based upon the weight of a fleece without any adjustment for fiber diameter. And I didn't put a lot of thought into it originally as to how changes in a few microns is going to make a difference in the overall weight of the fleece or volume. A micron's pretty small. There's more than 25,000 microns in an inch. It's a millionth of a meter. But it wasn't until the judge made a comment that he believed that finer fleeces are at a disadvantage in the show system at that time. So I did a little research to get a better understanding of the relationship and between fiber diameter and fleece weight. And what I learned really surprised us. It surprised us. It changed our breeding program and what we focused on. I have some graphics to show you what I learned. And then we're going to take a look at how we use EPDs to help us determine what's going on. the graphics are going to help us get a better perspective of the difference between volume and density in evaluating fleece and what effect it has on production. Let's start off with a closer look at how individual fibers of 24 and 18 micron are going to compare, or how they compare to each other. These circles represent a 24 and 18 micron fiber blown up to about 50,000 times their original size. The area of 24 micron is about 452 square micron compared to 18, which is 254. So there's almost a 200 square micron difference. And then when I overlay the two, it's easier to see that there's a large difference between the two. 18 micron is 44% smaller, almost half the area of a 24 micron circle. Next, if we take a look at how these two fibers compare in density and volume as they are side by side on the animal, here in example A, I've got 196 fibers of 24 micron. Each of those dots represents a 24 micron fiber. It shows a density of 196 fibers, and the volume is just over 88,000 square micron. So density refers to the number of fiber follicles, where volume refers to the amount of space, or the total area taken up by the fibers. Here in example B, we have the same density of 18 micron fibers, each of those dots being 18 micron, 196, but the volume of that is less than 50,000 square micron. Again, same density, both have 196, and the volume is much, much smaller. Now, if we were to squeeze or compress example B, you can see that it decreases to almost half the size of 24 micron. So if you're comparing animals A and B side by side, squeezing a handful of fiber, or looking at the amount of skin that's exposed when the fibers are parted, it would appear that B is not as dense as A. So the density is exactly the same, but it's the volume that's different. So let's take a look at what it looks like when you have 18 and 24 micron fibers of the same volume or weight. Here in example A, we got the same as before, 196 fibers of 24 micron, 88,000 some square micron total volume, and C, we're at about the same, 88,000 square micron. So what this shows is that it would take an increase in density from 196 fibers up to 348 to equal the same volume as example A. That's a 78% increase in follicles for an 18 micron fiber producing animal to be equal in weight or equivalent to a 24 micron producing animal. And since we're talking about the volume and the mass, so that the same comparison can be made for weight. So reducing fiber diameter without an increase in density results in a loss of fiber production weight. To me, you're making animals too fine if you're not keeping up with the production weight of what they're putting out there. Increasing fleece weight is a very predictable breeding objective. It's simply a matter of paying attention to fleece weight as you reduce fiber diameter. Some breeders believe skin biopsies and follicle examination helps them identify animals with greater density. Maybe it does, although I haven't seen any research that supports it, but there's still a much simpler non-invasive method that's available that's going to produce very predictable results. And without digging into EPDs very far, I'd like to show you how an EPD report will show you the same comparison of what we just looked at in the previous examples. So here in our first slide here, this is an example of an EPD report that shows the 9 traits that are currently being tracked. The fiber diameter prediction in blue shows a minus 3.126. It's one of the best fiber diameter improvements in the EPD program. It's one of the top 12 animals in the program. It's actually animal number 12. However, the fleece weight prediction is a minus 0.396, which means it's predicted that this animal's contribution to its offspring will produce almost a half a pound less fiber weight than the average alpaca in the program. So this report shows us something similar to the comparison that we made between A and B, with this report being animal B, that shows a similar density but a decrease in volume and fleece weight. Now in this next slide, the fiber diameter as a prediction is a minus 3.127. This is animal number 11, one of the best in the EPD program out of 28,000 some animals. However, the fleece prediction for this animal is a plus 0.215, which means this animal's contribution to its offspring will be almost a quarter pound more fleece weight than the average alpaca in the program. This report would describe something similar to what we saw in C, and actually greater than C, with a very large increase in density. There's a lot more value to using EPDs than what I've demonstrated here. The AOA EPD database is the best source for the data that you need to make very meaningful progress in your herd improvement goals. And as a side note, if you're wondering how predictable or reliable EPD predictions are, the results will meet or exceed the prediction it gives 84% of the time. I hope this makes some sense and helps with your breeding program. We're interested in hearing from you. Please leave your comments or get in touch with us if you have questions, or subscribe to get updates for more videos. Our website at alpaca.net will have a link to get copies of the examples shown in the video for your personal use, and you can take a look at them more on that. But thank you for watching.